because I want someone to leave and not just have something beautiful, but I want it to be a walking testament of what it means to be alive and promises for them. So I knew from the second I started, it was never going to be a process of come in, leave as quickly as possible. It was going to be a moment that we spent together, and I wanted there to be an experience because I knew that I was going to give everything I could to each person that walked in here, and I also expected that we would mutually meet in the middle for that, which I know is not typical for most people who tattoo. But I found that there's a lot of value in spending time with people. Because if they're gonna trust me to put ink on their body for the rest of their lives, I'd hope they'd want to get to know me and they'd want me to ask them about themselves. I take a lot of time to decide who I will tattoo, and it has nothing to do with the people, but I really spend a lot of time praying on the ones that are supposed to be in this room. And I think because there's so many tattoo artists out there, I'm not gonna be the right one for everyone. And I wanna make sure that each one that is completed, that it is a mutual experience of me creating something beautiful and that we're meant to spend time together. Because it's not just, again, walk in and out, goodbye, never speak to you again. I build friendships. I grew up in Colorado Springs for most of my life, and I absolutely loved being around nature. It was like getting to see the canvas that God created all the time, and I just got to watch. I lived at the base of Pikes Peak, and I saw trees all the time, flowers. It was just a beautiful state. I absolutely loved to do art. It was just something that my parents always knew, is that Rachel loves to create things. And every time that I created, I remember as a child, it was like I was giving everything I could. It was pulling something beautiful from me, but I was afraid of it. There was a time when I was 9, I remember I painted a beautiful painting that I absolutely love. But in the middle of it, my mom found me in the bathroom sobbing. And she didn't understand the impact of it then, but from then, I never painted again until I was 20. So almost 11 years before I touched a paintbrush again. And I know now that it was rooted in the fear of what it meant for me to create anything. It meant I'd have to give part of myself. But I also knew that in giving it, I felt alive, but I was afraid of that feeling. There was something locked up there. And so around that age, I stopped creating and I started to drift away from the thing that actually drew me closer to myself. I was in this art class when I was around 23, and a really difficult time in my life, but I had made the choice to start pursuing what it meant to be free. And I had no idea what that meant, but I knew that I didn't want to live in brokenness anymore. So I was in this art class and I was with this girl who's complete opposite of me. She was an artist, but she created with no lines. Everything she did was colorful, abstract, and she loved that there was no rules to anything she did. And so me, on the other hand, only functioned in black, gray, and white, and kept everything very refined, everything in a almost like a strictness, because I was so afraid of what it meant to go outside of that range. But I couldn't create the things that they were asking me to because I felt too rigid to do it. I couldn't get out of my head and what I thought I had to do in order to be an artist. And so we made this deal with each other. She was gonna start creating fine black work, really refined things, and just completely do the opposite of what her nature is. And I was gonna start to do abstract art with color. It was like the scariest thing. And it was this wild transition in my art and my creating where I started to trust myself and trust that no matter what I create, it is enough. And so when I got back to the town that I had lived in, I had a group of friends that I was spending a lot of time with. They knew what I was experiencing, what I was struggling with. And They knew that I had started creating again. They all were seeing my art because I started to show people at that time. I was proud of the fact that I was starting to create. And something was coming back from when I was a kid. I remember this feeling, Rachel. That thing that you were afraid of for a long time ago, you pushed down for a long time. And so I had that group of friends, and they said, okay, Rachel, go and get a tattoo kit, and we're gonna give you our skin to teach yourself. And I can't even express how grateful I am for those 3 people, because the journey of creating started that day. It changed that day the way that I viewed art and the way that I was able to create. Everything expanded, and I never looked back at the things that used to numb me again since that day. So the day I started this form of art is the day that I mark as my Freedom Day.
Okay.
Are you recording me actually speaking?
No, just video.
That's good. I want to create because I need to do it, and it brings me life. So tattooing is the biggest way where it's a full exchange of 2 people, and I want it to be only something I do as long as the exchange is always beautiful. If it ever becomes less than that, then I'll step into another form of creating. Everything up until 2.5 years ago was mine, and now I've given it. Everything these last 2 years is like tattooing, you're giving yourself to someone. I'm giving you a piece. I have a hard time giving paintings away or anything I do because it's like I want to possess the original. So this has forced me to be like, release every person that I ever touch and be like, it's yours. But that's really difficult.
Yeah.
As a creator.
It'll just come to you. Like
So from that day on, I passionately dove into it. And I could not stop. Every single day I was designing new things, and I was teaching myself new things. See, this is the part that I really have a hard time with, is the fact that I know he's in front of me. And obviously, not the most normal way to go about tattooing, but it was like a new way of survival for me to teach myself to create in that way. So it had to be him.
yeah, and it was.
I couldn't ride on any part of it being. I've found that the things that I am most proud of and the things that I love the most are the ones that I have determined if no one ever saw this, the value is still the same. And I would create it if no one saw it ever again. I create everything with the intention that if no one tells me they love this, it's worth it, because for me it brings me joy, and the things that bring me joy bring me freedom. Everything I do is connected to the fact that I made a choice a long time ago, that my path was set to live in pain. And when I chose to create again, what I didn't know is that when I started, joy was going to come back to me, and passion and peace and comfort and compassion. And I trust people. Everything that I thought was broken came back when I started to create and do what I was called to do. I'd rather fight for the rest of my life and create every single thing I can to remind people what it means to live. That's what I do. That's why I do everything I do. It's why I tattoo. is because I get to spend time with people and sit and say, now sit here with me, trust me, and I'm gonna trust you. We're gonna take this experience together. I'm gonna create something that's gonna be on your body for the rest of your life. I value you enough to spend time with you and know you and make sure that I'm giving you the best I can possibly give you. And that once you leave here, you know without a shadow of a doubt that you are worth living and what it means to be fully alive. And I will never allow someone to leave this place without knowing that. You guys heard this song? No. It's the guy who's a country rapper with Billy Ray Cyrus.
Oh no.
I'm sorry.
I've heard of this song.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse through the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
I got the horses in the back, horse stock is attached. Head is matted black, got the bushes black to match. Riding on a horse, ha, you can whip your Porsche. I've been in the valley, you ain't been up off that porch. Now, can't nobody tell me